Chapter 1. Unlucky you are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Kai. In the massive expanse of China. 9 a.m. On State Road 104. Inside a commercial van belonging to Clear Sky Mechanical Saw Factory, which also has a range of products printed on it. Yi Qing paled as he hanged up his seventh call of the day. So far, he has reached out to 7 different close friends of his. But the amount of money he is able to borrow paled when compared to what he needs. Including his own savings, plus their help, he only managed to gather 13,000 yuan. Yi Qing will never complain. At least this allowed him to understand the nature of his friends. Rather, he is very thankful to them. His group of friends and classmates are pretty much the same as him, recent graduates thrown into the everyday workforce. In particular, none of them are wealthy second generations. Those who are able to answer his calls and lend out their precious savings has already moved Yi Qing. But this much is nowhere near enough. A major accident occurred today in the machinery factory owned by his father. Yi Qing's family lives in Zhongyan, Jiangnan. His father, Yi Jiangning, once was the head of a workshop owned by Red Light Machinery. In the downturn of '98, Yi Jiangning grabbed a couple of his workers and opened up their own machinery workshop. This workshop only did outsourced work from Red Light Machinery. In '09, the machinery workshop upgraded to Clear Sky Mechanical Saw Factory, specializing in large-scale mechanical saw tools. For example, large pipeline cutting tools, large-scale concrete saws, large-scale stainless steel miter saws. The business for the saw factory was fine until 2 years ago. For some unknown reason, the number of orders places had been decreasing steadily for the past 2 years. Plus, with the retirement of the old generation from Red Light Machinery, the factory also lost all of their outsourced work. During this challenging period, the factory at times won't even get any order for months. Orders are a factory's lifeline. Barely any orders has left, the factory is on the verge of collapse. They are already 3 months behind on workers' wages. Last week, Yi Jiangning's classmate who works for the state helped him secure an order of 7 concrete saws for Jiangshan Masonry. In order to face the state inspection team's evaluation of the city's culture and health, Zhongyan planned to reforest and replace the curb stone of the city's main streets. Under the pressure of the order worth more than tens of millions, the boss of Jiangshan Masonry grudgingly cooperated with Clear Sky Mechanical Saw Factory. An order of 7 concrete saws won't let them make a killing, but at least it's enough to pay off the wages they owe their workers. At the peak of factory, they had more than 30 workers, and so many orders that the workers often had to work overtime. But now, the old generation who has the skills all left, leaving behind only 8 apprentices. Not only did the apprentices have subpar skills, they also have a crappy attitude. If it wasn't because of their low wages, Yi Jiangning would have fired them ages ago. As a matter of fact, the first saw that was delivered to Jiangshan Masonry yesterday had the guide rail deviate not long after use, causing the resulting stone to be all slanted. This kind of rudimentary mistake completely pissed off Jiangshan Masonry. Their boss made calls that very night to have Clear Sky Factory fix it. Otherwise they can forget about the rest of the payments. Env Yi Qing is the factory's technician. Influenced by the factory from a very early age, he chose to graduate from university as a mechanical engineer. Hence, during this period of internship, Yi Qing drove his commercial van everywhere to advertise the products of his family's factory. The saw's guide rail is the concrete saw's most precise part. This needs to be so precise that Clear Sky Factory can't even make it themselves. Don't even mention the fact that Yi Qing and his workers can't make it. In the whole Jiangnan province, there is only a select few who has the ability to make them. If it can't be made, then buy it. The guide rail for the saw is a product from Wanyang Precision Company Limited. This company's product can definitely be trusted, otherwise they wouldn't even be in business even after so many years. Thus the problem can only be from the factory's workers when they installed it. During the busy all-nighter, not only did Yi Qing change the guide rails, but also tested the rest of the machine. After everything, the boss of Jiangshan Masonry is still pissed as all heck and kicked Yi Qing straight out. He didn't even bother to prepare a simple breakfast. The hungry Yi Qing had to settle with several buns from a shop on the way home. While eating and rushing home, he was prepared to take a nice rest when he get back. Who knew? Along the way, Yi Qing got an urgent call from Yi Jiangning, saying some accident happened in the factory. This morning, the 8 workers punched in at 8 a.m. After Yi Jiangning had assigned them their day's goal, he went back upstairs to get some rest. Last night's calls from Jiangshan Masonry had him pissed and up all night long. Having been in business for so many years, if a rudimentary mistake like a slanted guide rail got out, then the factory's reputation would have been utterly destroyed. Precisely because Yi Jiangning went to sleep did the serious man-made accident occur. To make mechanical tools, most of the parts need to be made out of steel plates. The parts first are roughly cut out using flame-cutting tools, then milled to precise measurements. Steel plates have different specifications, so their thickness and weight are of course different. When one of the workers, Chao Yun, was moving the plates, the youngest worker, Pang Ruifeng, just had to learn this skill of moving things with remote controls. There is no choice but to admit that controlling things using a remote is actually really fun. This piece of steel machinery weighing several tons and spanning the whole factory only requires a race car-like remote control to move. Piloting this is like operation a real train, but with even more power. No matter who sees it will find it very addicting. Pang Ruifeng wanted to try this out a long time ago, but couldn't find the chance no matter what. Now that Yi Jiangning went to sleep and isn't overlooking them, it gave him the perfect chance. Having bugged Chao Yun non-stop, he finally got the controls. Having taken over the controls, Pang Ruifeng, under Chao Yun's guidance, moves a steel plate over to the flame-cutting area. When the cutting and welding of the plates by workers were done, Pang Ruifeng volunteered to move the resulting machine. When Chao Yun found no mistakes in his movements, he also didn't say anything. Who knew when Pang Ruifeng moved the wielded machine over the CNC gantry mill and is lowering the suspension hook, he forgot to hit the brakes. As a result, the 1.5-ton concrete saw bed smashed into the CNC mill. The CNC gantry mill is the largest machine in the factory. This kind of leviathan specialized in processing large-scale metal parts and is 13 meters long, 3 meters tall, and weighs 17 tons. The unfinished machine bed smashed the upper structure of the CNC mill to smithereens. The 4-meter-plus long workbench also suffered major damages. This smash alone would cost tens of thousands to fix. But this isn't the reason why Yi Jiangning is in despair. The CNC mill's upper structure include a computer-operated arm system. This arm system can be operated to move both left and right to help the workers control the mill from different angles. The arm is made out of normal stainless steel, but at the time there was 2 workers, Lu Xiaozhen and Qian Dongdong, waiting beside the mill, preparing to process the machine bed when it finally came down. In the end, the broken arm system and some broken parts of the transfer system smashed into the 2, who didn't have the time to dodge. Thankfully the machine bed smashed into the CNC mill and not on top of the 2. Otherwise there would have been no need for them to visit the surgery room. This is a serious man-made accident caused by the misconduct of workers. When Yi Jiangning ran down, with the help of the other workers, brought the bloody Lu Xiaozhen and Qian Dongdong to the hospital. In the rush they ran 8 red lights and broke several other laws. While in the waiting room, Pang Ruifeng's face is paler than a piece of paper, stuck with the story that a problem with the controls is the cause of the accident and not him. Chao Yun, on the other hand, expressed his views on this accident with a fierce kick and several bitch slaps for Pang Ruifeng. There is no point now in chasing after Pang Ruifeng as the cause of the accident. This is because this accident occurred to Lu Xiaozhen and Qian Dongdong while on the job. So of course the boss, Yi Jiangning, had to cover everything. Lu Xiaozhen broke his third and fourth rib in his left chest, while his right shoulder is crushed. Qian Dongdong broke his skull, suffered from internal hemorrhage, and had large lacerations on his back. Due to poor benefits, Clear Sky Mechanical Factory already owed the workers 3 months' worth of wages. The end payment from Jiangshan Masonry for the concrete cutting tool is still missing. Couple of minutes ago Yi Qing called, but was rejected by their boss saying that he needs a week of testing and if there is no problem, then he'll transfer the rest. Facing the current situation in the factory, Yi Qing is also close to despair. The down payment from Jiangshan Masonry all went towards the materials for the order. Because they have this order in hand, the workers were also willing to delay their payments. In any case, Yi Jiangning also agreed to pay them 1,000 extra as compensation after the order. The factory only has a couple thousand yuan as liquid assets. Apart from the immovable assets, they had almost no savings left. Due to the poor business in the past few years, the profits they made back then were all used to cover the factory's expenses. Yi Qing can only pray. Hopefully Lu Xiaozhen and Qian Dongdong aren't suffering from major problems. Jiangshan Masonry is situated near Meihua town. Due to a collision on the outskirts of Zhongyun, Yi Qing is stuck in a traffic jam. After backing up a bit, Yi Qing parked the car on the shoulder of the road. Loosening his seatbelt, Yi Qing turned on the car's music system and listened to songs by the famous star Su Ningong. The currently famous star Su Ningong is also from Zhongyun. She was in the same class as Yi Qing during all of elementary school. The Su Ningong back then already started to display her unmatched artistic abilities. When Yi Qing was in 4th grades, he even wrote her a love confession back then. Of course her rejection was obvious. During middle school Su Ningong moved to Beijing, so they lost contact. Now there isn't any chance, she's a nationwide superstar, well known throughout all of Asia. They are in 2 different worlds. Just when Yi Qing was deciding whether to continue calling his friends to borrow more money, he got a call from his mom, Su Lan. In the call, Su Lan was sobbing the whole time. She told Yi Qing that while Yi Jiangning was waiting outside of the surgery room during Lu Xiaozhen and Qian Dongdong surgery, their family and relatives showed up and gave him a beating. Chapter 2. The Strange Pool. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Kai. Yi Qing's hands were clenched on the wheel and his face was ashened. He tried calling his father multiple times, the only response he received was the busy tone. It would appear that his father's injuries are far worse than described. He hated not being able to instantly teleport to Zhongyun and beat the shit out of those family relatives. However, the cruel reality is that that is not possible. The headlines in local news tomorrow will include: a local factory had a major accident yesterday, the owners are extremely rude, even attempting to attack the victims' families. The road is still blocked up front. With a quick turnaround, Yi Qing drove his van off of the highway and onto local roads. Yi Qing is quite familiar with the roads near Zhongyun. Backing up on the shoulders and taking shortcuts is merely to avoid being sandwiched is even harder. Sadly, these shortcuts aren't easy to navigate. These roads were originally built by a local brick kiln for trucks. Later this brick kiln closed, so everyone stopped using this pothole-ridden gravel road. The commercial van is rear-powered and has a high chassis. Under empty conditions, it operates almost like a SUV. Hence there is no need to be afraid of those screwed-up roads passing multiple farms and a village. The trip was absolutely terrible. It was like moving over fields of shell holes, with all the ups and downs. Having carefully navigated past multiple giant potholes, Yi Qing clearly remembers a stretch of open farmland ahead. This is also why Yi Qing would rather wait a bit during traffic jams, rather than taking shortcuts across farm fields. He has no idea what is being grown in these fields. If it's only wheat then that would be fine, but it's stuff like corn, melons and such, then is no way for the car to safely cross because it'll destroy all the crops along the way. Soon a half-person deep pothole appeared in front of the van. Lucky both sides of the dirt trail are covered by wheat crops with clear tire tracks over them. Seeing this, Yi Qing followed the set-out tracks made by a predecessor in all honesty. "Sorry bro, but I'm really forced to do this. I heard that wheat sprouts will grow even after." Yi Qing drove as he apologized and comforted himself. Pang Yi Qing didn't even finish his sentence before the left front wheel of the van burst into smithereens. Yi Qing anxiously got out of the car to examine the damages. The result were eye-popping. Underneath the front left wheel of the van is a piece of steel studded with sharp pins. Yi Qing, who is familiar with everything mechanical, found that this isn't from any part of an agricultural tool. Rather, this piece of metal is welded together by human hands, and placed here to specifically pop tires. When these stuff is placed into the wheat fields, the green coverages of the wheat sprouts provide the perfect camouflage for it. It doesn't matter how good Yi Qing's eyesight is, he just wouldn't be able to find them while driving. After some careful examination of the surroundings, Yi Qing is scared out of his wits. The 2 wheat fields beside the road are full of these stuff. With a walk around the car alone, Yi Qing is able to roughly identify more than 10 of them. What is this hate? Bro, why you gotta be like this? You can't possibly have covered this whole stretch of fields right. Having removed the tire popper, Yi Qing hurried tried to back the car onto the road. But to no avail. The loose wheat field soil prevented the stuck rear-powered van from moving whatsoever. The loose fields also prevented the changing of tires. When Yi Qing brought out the tire jack and the spare tire and had everything set up, the jack literally sank into the loose soil. This field definitely belongs to some bastard. Yi Qing is pissed to the point of being on the verge of a complete mental breakdown. Inside the van are just the repairing tools from his latest job like wrenches, levels, sleeves, calipers, and the likes. There is nothing there that can be placed underneath the jack to spread out the weight. The wheat fields are also barren of any wooded materials. The anxious Yi Qing suddenly remembered seeing some old wooden boats in a large pit. Without any further thoughts, he grabbed some wrecking tools and ran towards it. These shell hole-like pits are all part of the brick kiln. After the closure of the kiln, the local farmer probably filled these pits and used them to raise fish. Hence the broken boats there. Yi Qing, while huffing and puffing, arrived at the nearest pit and quickly ran down the slopes. Finally arriving at the bottom, Yi Qing is dumbstruck. On this side of the pool is a mountain of broken bricks, while everywhere else is cliffs. Since there is no way Spider-Man exists, Yi Qing can only resort to climbing the mountains of bricks. The broken bricks are full of sharp points, so Yi Qing had to be careful when climbing. Having reached the top, he took a deep breath and jumped down from that 2-meter-tall pile. The good thing is, the loose soil below absorbed most of the impact, leaving Yi Qing without injury. It's just that during mid-flight, Yi Qing can only stare on as his phone flew out of his pocket and dropped into the pool. Having landed, Yi Qing leaped forward to try saving that precious phone. But to no avail. Even with his whole arm in the water, he can only stare on as cell phone continued to sink further into the depth. These pits here were all dug out by the brick kiln. Even with 10 Yi Qing standing on top of each, they still won't be enough to overcome the depth. With these kind of depths, don't mention Yi Qing, but even if you brought Phelps here, even he can't do anything about it. L.C. The phone itself isn't worth much, but apart from the cloud sync system inside, there is also a bunch of other data and seas of pictures that can't be returned with money. God, what the heck did I do to mess with you? Yi Qing yelled towards the sky as he knelt on the ground. Suddenly a flash of blue light appeared out of nowhere, putting a stop to all of Yi Qing's complaints. Then the dark green pool of water appeared to have been injected by 100,000 high-voltage volts. Countless blue electrical arcs rose to the surface from the depth of the pit. Buzz 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 buzz, the ground shook. The brick walls on the other side collapsed, sending endless splashes into the sky. As the blue light illuminated the whole pit, it also lit up the face of the dismayed Yi Qing. Borrowing the light produced by the electricity, Yi Qing shockingly finally found the source of all this. It actually came from his dropped phone at the bottom of the pit. This is not possible. His cell phone battery has a maximum capacity of 2000 amps, that's only 0.11 volts. Even if this much voltage is discharged at once, it can't even electrocute a small rat, so how can it produce this end-of-the-world thunderstorm in front of him? But this impossibility happened right in front of him. Yi Qing felt that his 20-some years of scientific rationalism came crashing down. If not due to his still regular thoughts, Yi Qing is really doubting whether or not he is seeing hallucinations and whatnot. The most ridiculous thing is that the lightning show is still going on. The phone suddenly let out a spark and flew up, out of the water. Yi Qing squawked as he tried to flee behind the pile of bricks. The phone already caused this much of an incident underwater, then once it leaves water, then can I still live? Violent arcs of electricity will definitely puncture through Yi Qing like skewering candied hawthorns. Sadly, Yi Qing underestimated the phone's lifting powers. When Yi Qing wasn't even halfway up the pile, the phone broke out of the surface with a swish. Without no turning back, Yi Qing shouted. I'm fucking gonna die. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, the expected lightning strike never came. Yi Qing, who is sweating cold sweat all over the place, slowly turned around. Then almost fell off the brick pile. That cell phone is actually flowing behind my head. The phone currently has returned to normal. The previous 100,000 volt arcs almost made Yi Qing doubt his eyes. If it wasn't absolutely necessary, Yi Qing would never abandon his cell phone. Hence Yi Qing picked up a random piece of brick and tossed it towards the hovering cell phone. Nothing happened. Next, Yi Qing slowly brought up his curled-up fingers and tried to lightly touch it. If there is a shock, then the muscles in the finger will spasm and retract from the cell phone uncontrollably. This is an old trick used by electricians. Due to him working with machines all year round, these tricks have all but become instincts. When Yi Qing's fingers came into contact with the cell phone, there was none of the anticipated spasm, no static shock, just the feeling of ice-cold metal. As he grabbed the phone out of the air, Yi Qing is just like a curious cat, wanting to know why and how it can let out so much power. Holding onto the power button, the black as night screen suddenly lit up. The only difference here is the disappearance of the traditional Android system. Rather, it was replaced with the words, "System upgrading," and all the buttons failed to work. Chapter 3. Why are you blocking the road? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 003. Why are you blocking the road? Translated by me, edited by Kai. 1%, 2%, 3%. Was in the river, given a major electric shock, and it can still work. Yi Qing's plan doesn't include data, so how can it auto-update? Due to these bizarre incidents, Yi Qing is even more unwilling to throw away his phone. Currently the van is still in need of his rescue. So Yi Qing placed the phone back into his pocket and went on a breaking spree with his tools. With just several smashes of the hammer, Yi Qing managed to rip a large piece of plank from the broken boats. Carrying it on his shoulder, Yi Qing hurriedly flipped over the pile of bricks and sprinted towards the van. Nothing happened to the van while he was away. It was still parked in the wheat field just like before. Placing the plank underneath the jack, Yi Qing quickly changed the broken tires and then moved the plank to the place where the rear wheels are stuck. As soon as the van returned onto the road, Yi Qing changed to the lowest gear and furiously stepped on the gas pedal. With a roar, the engines came to life and the van, in the hands of Yi Qing, suddenly became a tractor. Quickly leaving the fields behind. Alright, since you've placed traps all over the trenches, then I'll just circle around. You seriously can't have traps all over the fields, right? Having successfully navigated past the wheat fields, the road conditions nearby have also gradually become better. Finally, he was able to muster some spare time. Yi Qing pulled out his phone to only see, updating 25%, as he was about to get back onto the main roads again, he heard sirens from emergency crews from far away. Looking in the direction of the sound, several red fire trucks rapidly approached. Dee as the two cars were about to meet, the fire engine at the front pressed their horns mercilessly, indicating to this full of advertisement van to move out of the way. The merciless honking continued, but Yi Qing is dead set on not moving, and he also joined in the honking contest. This road is just too narrow for two vehicles to pass side by side. As such, the fire engine is compelled to stop in front of Yi Qing's van. You crazy! Someone wearing a full set of firefighting gear stuck out their head and anxiously roared at Yi Qing. There is a car crash on State Road 104 that is blocking the whole road. We're heading there to save people, so why are you here blocking the road? The fire engines in the back also followed suit and rapidly stopped. With some pangs, several firefighters jumped out. They are incomparably anxious and pissed. From their looks alone, there is a high likelihood that they will shove Yi Qing's van out of the way if he doesn't move it first. Comrade! Yi Qing popped his head out of the window and yelled. If I don't block you, you gonna stop? There are a bunch of unnavigable pits up ahead. You have to detour into the nearby farm fields to get past them. Ha! The firefighters are stunned. Even idiots know how to take a detour. What's the need for your reminder? Someone covered the wheat fields there with a bunch of tire poppers. I just had one of my tires popped back there. Yi Qing cracked his voice but continued. You guys be careful, you need to take a large detour before getting back onto the road. The fuck? The firefighters all exchanged shocked looks. They are familiar with popping other people's tires, due to their tire sharks, specifically designed to catch those inspection escapees. But they never thought that one day they would encounter this stuff. This wheat field owner has some serious resentment. Who would have thought that he would actually go this far just to prevent people from ruining his fields? Thanks, comrade. You blocked us correctly. For your actions you really deserve a praise. The fireman driver waved a thank you as they moved past. If Yi Qing hadn't stopped them, then they would definitely be stuck in the wheat fields like idiots. A single fire engine has 10 wheels, but they only have a single spare on hand. If they aren't able to reach the scene, then isn't it their fault for endangering the lives of those injured people? Having completed his warning, Yi Qing quickly drove his van off the road, clearing the way. The firefighters don't have time to be thankful at the moment. They used bolt-like speeds to get back on the engines and off they went. Time is precious, they don't have a second to waste in these situations. Not much later, an ambulance also came shrieking. Yi Qing face-planted, but still went to block them. At 10 a.m., the commercial van finally made its way to the city's People's Hospital. Having parked the car, Yi Qing didn't even bother to take a look at his phone but rushed towards the nearest ATM, because he needs to retrieve all his savings for the hospital bill. Arriving at the surgery room on the 3rd floor, as soon as the elevator doors opened, Yi Qing nearly got ran over by the people blocking the hallway. Wearing simple clothing, the injured worker's family and relatives all gathered around Su Lan looking for answers. Otherwise they'll file formal lawsuits against them. The factory's other workers are also here. They are also here for the result of Lu Xiaojun and Qian Dongdong surgery. At the same time, they are also comforting the two's relatives. Several regional administrative officials and police officers are on site recording down the incident. Although Pang Ruifeng looks pale, but his resolve is still as hard as steel. He insisted that the whole problem was due to a faulty controller. Saying that the system was in use for too long, it really needed to be replaced. He has only worked for the factory for 4 months. Who knew how he confirmed that the controls are at their limits? Having understood the cause of this incident, Yi Qing really has the urge of rushing up to Pang Ruifeng and beating the living daylights out of him. At this time his mother, Su Lan, quickly cleared away her tears and called out to Yi Qing to go look after Yi Jiangning first, she's got this place covered. Beov quietly asking for his dad's bed number, Yi Qing nodded his head in confirmation. Yi Jiangning is staying in the 5th floor of the hospital. Yi Qing shoved 10,000 some yuan into his mother's hands before rushing off upstairs. In front of the room, Yi Qing took a few deep breaths to clear his emotions before entering. Inside the room is 3 people. The other 2 are all sitting in their beds and chatting with their family. It's just that one there in the middle bed, alone and lying in bed. Fully bandaged chest, bruises all over the face. Suddenly, Yi Qing's tears uncontrollably followed out. He went forward and called out, but Yi Jiangning didn't reply back. He just came out of surgery. The anesthetic hasn't worn off yet. The nurse said he'll be out for another few hours. An auntie who was peeling an apple reminded. You're his son, right? The nurse said your dad took a beating, do you know about this? Yi Qing wiped off his tears and nodded. The auntie sighed but said nothing else. Having requested the auntie to look after him for a bit, Yi Qing said he'll be back shortly. Having left the room, Yi Qing went straight to the nurse's counter to ask about his dad's condition. The doctor on call pulled out a medical file and put the X-ray sheet onto a LED display. The victim's injuries are nothing serious. Just a couple broken bones that have already been fixed with surgical plates. It's best for the victim to rest while lying down. Don't let him bend over or have excessive movement. Otherwise the plates might come loose. Oh right, the victim's surgery fees has already been paid for. The hospitalization fee and treatment fees can be paid for on the 1st floor. Hearing the diagnosis, Yi Qing felt relieved. Having thanked the doctor, he returned to the room and began to contemplate another problem. The problem of treatment fees. His mom and dad have a few siblings. A brother-in-law, an uncle, and a sister-in-law. But they all live outside the province. Their living situation isn't that bad. Several tens of thousands is borrowable, but it's still not enough. Pulling out his phone, Yi Qing wanted to give his brother-in-law a call, but the words, updating 63%, nearly made him smash it. Chapter 4. Monster Factory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Kai. Dad's anesthetic hasn't passed yet, so he is still unconscious. Yi Qing felt his father's pant pockets, but found nothing. The jacket is also gone, probably got shredded by the doctors. Finding the time to go downstairs to ask his mom, she said she already called their relatives and managed to borrow 50,000 yuan for the time being. If it's still not enough then she could ask for more, but there is going to be a wait. 50,000 yuan. As soon as money was mentioned, a well-dressed youngster quickly stood up, came up to them and said in a righteous manner. Bring out all your money, my uncle is still facing life and death on the surgery table. A compensation of 200,000 isn't even close to being enough. The money already went to pay the surgery fees, where else am I going to get money? Su Lan angrily replied back. My husband took a beating from you guys, and I haven't even started to ask for that compensation from you yet. He deserves it. No boss are of any goo. This youngster didn't even finish his sentence, before Yi Qing slammed him onto the walls of the hallway. Then the attacks came. A knee heavily smashed into this guy's stomach. There is no way that Yi Qing isn't impulsive. His dad's been beaten and the assailant is standing there as if nothing happened, going so far as to demand compensation. Right now what else is there in Yi Qing's mind? Steam can be seen rising from Yi Qing's ears, just like smokestacks from old steam ships. If it wasn't because of the police nearby, Yi Qing will definitely send this guy onto the surgery table as well. Where is the law? The assailant's family can beat others. The youngster spit it out as he painfully held onto his stomach. You just wait, we're not letting this end here. Following this line, two other youngsters stood out from the group and tried to join in the action. Enough. One of the officers came up and blocked the two. If you guys continue, then I can only bring you guys back to the station and lock all of you up for 15 days. Chow Yun also came over to stop Yi Qing from his rampage. He told Yi Qing that the ones who did the beating have already been taken away. There will definitely be answers. Only now did Yi Qing find out that the bunch has already been taken away. Taking a look to get confirmation from his mom, Yi Qing is finally able to calm down. However, Yi Qing can understand, with stuff like this, the police also needed to consider the feelings of the victim's family. Hence 15-day lockup is the best they can do in situations like this. Everyone's attention is all gathered here, hence no one noticed that the surgery doors were opened. It wasn't until the doctor in charge called out twice, that everyone paid him any attention. How are they? Yi Qing forgot about everything and hurriedly asked, along with Lu Xiaojun and Qian Dongdong's family, surrounded the doctor. No life-threatening risks, the two have successfully been operated on. Qian Dongdong will have to stay in ICU for a couple of days to prevent further internal hemorrhaging. Hearing that there are no life-threatening risks, everyone let out a sigh of relief and became somewhat relaxed. However, a couple of the family members don't know what ICU stands for. When they found out that it stands for Intensive Care Unit, they suddenly turned ashen again. Wait, there is no life-threatening risk, then why the Intensive Care Unit? There are a lot more instruments there, hence we are able to detect the victim's pulse and blood pressure more accurately. If internal hemorrhaging does occur again, then we are able to detect it immediately. The female doctor waved to let the tension pass. You guys can relax. Though internal hemorrhaging poses a life-threatening risk, as long as the blood is drawn out immediately, there wouldn't be any harm due to the victim. No problem is good, use all the instruments and the best medicine are these families' first thought. Normally doctors love receiving these industry-injured patients because it's all external injuries. Easy to fix and care for. Also easy to use some costly procedures to earn some extra. Because in the end, everything comes out of the boss's pockets. Yi Qing doesn't understand stuff like this, even if he did, he wouldn't say anything. These workers are all hurt in his family factory, so following the doctor's instructions is of course unconditional. Not to mention, if people had any common sense, then no one would try to save money here. Having finally seen Lu Xiaojun and Qian Dongdong being moved into their patient rooms, Su Lan is now finally able to go upstairs to look after her husband. She knows that factory doesn't have much savings. Now seeing her husband lying there on the sickbed, plus thinking about the fees involved with the two workers' compensation and Medicare, tears began rolling again. Yi Qing supported his mom's shoulders and told her that he will take care of everything. Worst come to worst, he can always sell off some of the factory's machinery. Not long later, a nurse came in and handed a Medicare bill to Yi Qing. On it, it clearly stated a day in ICU costs 8,000, plus the two's 22,000 surgery fee, there is only enough left on the account to last till tomorrow. When the nurse left, the other 5 workers came in together. Boss. The 5 stuttered. Normally these guys all have some egotistic problems, but now they all have something to say, yet can't put it into words. What? Yi Qing stated gloomy. We discussed this amongst ourselves, and we all decided to resign. The oldest of the bunch, Chow Yun, embarrassingly said. Boss, it's not us being heartless. But from the current situation, the profits from the latest order will definitely be used to pay for the medical fees. And it probably isn't even going to be enough. We also need to support our families. If we continue on, then you'll still be owning us wages. Hearing that they all want to resign, Yi Qing is now truly desperate and explained. I can first sell off some machines, including the CNC mill, for the medical fees and outsource the CNC-related works. Can't you guys finish the order first? Boss, Lu Xiaozhen and Qian Dongdong are responsible for the computer milling. While they are in hospital, we won't be able to find someone in time to fill in their spots. Plus the owner is injured. Without him directing, us workers have no clue what to do. The few workers summed up the factory's situation and explained it to Yi Qing one by one. So how do we continue on? 'Cause 1, there is no pay, and 2, the owner isn't even on site. The conversation has already reached here. What else is there for Yi Qing to say? Guys, please understand, the factory is in crisis, so there is no way to pay your wages immediately. Yi Qing stood up and reassuringly said. I'll go quickly to sell of the machines and try to make up for everyone's lost wages. If you guys are still missing wages in a month, then you guys can come back to the factory and take the steel and machines. The few workers hurriedly replied, we understand, we understand. Then left. On the hospital side, Yi Qing can only leave it to his mom. Yi Qing hastily ran off to the factory to inspect the CNC mill's damages. The mill is guaranteed to the sold, but the problem is the price. Clear Sky Mechanical Saw Factory is located in the southwest corner of Zhongyun's industrial region. This is also where his dad and grandfather lives. In 09, when this region was still in development, Yi Jiangning followed the plan and built a production factory here. The factory covers 2,000 plus square meters and comes with a backyard. In the beginning, to attract businesses, the land and yard here were all pretty cheap. Hence why they were able to use this much land. This building is Yi Qing's family's biggest immovable asset. It's just that the manufacturing industry in Zhongyun has been on a slump. So there are a bunch of empty and unsold buildings left in the region. Preparing for the worst, Yi Qing entered the factory's workshop. Processing tools, cutting tools, automatic wire welding system, 10-ton floor press, drilling and milling tools, and so on are all the factory's core. But these stuff in the current economy are like waste paper, absolutely worthless. The only thing worth anything in the factory is the CNC mill. Having passed the pile of steel plates, Yi Qing finally got to see the damaged mill. He clearly remembered, back in 09, the sight of Leviathan being hoisted and installed in with mighty cranes. The excitement and anticipation back then is indescribable. 1 story tall, dozens of meters long machine fully made up of steel has an astronomical shock and awe value to any youngster. This full metal excitement, this machine belonged to Clear Sky Mechanical Saw Factory, in particular, it belonged to him. Now, seeing CNC mill with the machine bed which had fallen on its workbench, the broken pulleys, the smashed computer-assisted arm system, and of course that dark red bloodstain on the floor. Having lightly stroked the mill's stamped engravings, Yi Qing walked towards the factory's office section with resolve. There are 3 floors and 14 rooms in the factory. The first floor is for all the components, the second is Yi Qing and his dad's office space, while the third floor is for the workers' eat and sleep. Having arrived at his office on the second floor, Yi Qing powered on his computer and prepared to post an advertisement for a second-hand CNC mill in the local forums. There isn't much of a fluctuation with second-hand machine prices because the bigger the machine, the more attention is paid towards the precision loss caused by its stress levels. Normally, after a few years of use, the precision levels of the machine is still comparable to those newly built. But now that the mill is broken, add on the inflated metal prices spike in 09, the nearly 1 million yuan machine, after careful contemplation is roughly only worth 200,000. Only like this, can the buyers be interested and guarantee the item to be sold quickly. While slowly composing the ad post, the quiet office is suddenly broken by the vibration of a cell phone. This gave Yi Qing quite the scare. Wasn't the phone doing some crappy upgrades? Since when can it vibrate? Pulling the cell phone out of his pockets, Yi Qing's originally free phone that came with his plan, suddenly changed. The original plastic covering, changed into an ice-cold metal case. The charger and earphone plug all disappeared. Strange. Strange to the point of beyond strange. Calming down his excitement, Yi Qing pressed the power button. Noticing the words upgrade complete on the cell phone, a fingerprint suddenly appeared on screen. I'm definitely dreaming. Yi Qing with his shocked expression, doubtingly put his thumb on the fingerprint. *DD, after 2 sounds, the cell phone's fingerprint reading process is complete. Yet the thing that is getting under Yi Qing's skin is that after the system upgrade, everything in the original system has been deleted. This includes all pictures and contacts. In the barren screen, there is only one app, Monster Factory, no internet, no signal. Monster Factory, what is this? Yi Qing is clearly dumbfounded. The phone being able to release 10,000 voltage shocks is scary enough, now the whole phone has changed. Perhaps this is an alien joke. Yi Qing, who has already been scared numb, suppressing these feelings as he opened the only application on the phone. Monster Factory. This is the residence of a race of magical monsters. They love physical work, experts with all machines, and their obsession with the field of machinery is beyond imaginations. Even to the point where they care more about machines than their lives. They are all extremely smart. Possess astonishing physiques and hidden abilities. Electric welding, machine tools, milling machines, drilling machines, computer-guided machines, laser welding, 5-axis machining center, 7-axis CNC machining center, million-ton hydraulic press. There is only the unthinkable. Else there is no machine out there that these monsters don't know how to operate. The app also includes a magical shopping center, offering all kinds of processing tools. Normal, uncommon, rare, unique, legendary handheld cutting tool, quality. Normal, properties. Cutting abilities plus 15% handheld drill, quality. Uncommon, properties. Drilling depth plus 25% drill speed plus 5% dial caliper, quality. Uncommon, properties. Measurement precision plus 40% 1% chance of perfect measurements flame cutting machine, quality. Rare, properties. Cutting abilities plus 150% flame temperature plus 100% cutting speed plus 80% cutting precision plus 15% metal damage detector, quality. Legendary, properties. Damage depth plus 200% damage precision plus 200% density penetration plus 200% damage type plus 55% chance of activating complete detection. This scan ignores the obstruction of all matter. All of kinds of tools are available. Ability to recruit hero-level monster are available at later stages. Yi Qing is completely dumbstruck as he scratched his head while reading this introduction. Kai. For some of the tool names, just take it as creative license / me not knowing. 3 TL, most of the tools introduced here are real, it's just that some might not be named correctly. Chapter 5. The Thing 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Kai. Opening the screen, Yi Qing closed the introduction and a background resembling an industrial workshop popped up. Suddenly, text windows appeared on the screen. Suggestion. No factory has been binded to the user. A factory, Clear Sky Mechanical Saw Factory, has been detected under the user's name. Would you like to bind it? Yi Qing clearly felt cold sweat pouring out. He almost tried to smash the phone again. This app. How does it know Clear Sky Mechanical Saw Factory is under his name? When the factory was being built, Yi Jiangning made Yi Qing the factory's legal owner because of the various compensations given by industrial policies aimed at working youngsters, such as being tax-free for 3 years. Just this reason convinced his father to register it under Yi Qing's name. This is simply inconceivable. Yi Qing is really doubting whether or not the phone sneakily linked up to the industrial complex's internal network. Harboring indescribable skepticism, Yi Qing lightly tapped the "Yes" button on screen. Binding complete, you have been awarded 2 basic monster workers and 1 chance to draw from the processing tool lottery. Monster Factory. Level 1, Binded, properties. Able to recruit monster workers, able to purchase normal quality tools, manufacturing efficiency plus 1%, manufacturing precision plus 1%, manufacturing life expectancy plus 1%. Having shown the factory's data, 2 cards suddenly popped up onto the screen. Both cards have the same portrait of a tusked monster. There is also a use option on the bottom left corner of the screen. Hulk worker processing precision plus 5%, processing speed plus 5%, fighting power 10, naturally born with monstrous strength, and precise with all machines. A peon for all your basic needs. Finished reading all the introduction, Yi Qing pressed yes without hesitation. Having experienced the binding, he has already changed his view of things. He now faced this app with brimming expectations. Ah, woo, suddenly, a sound that he has never heard of was emanated from behind him. Sounding very similar to the howl of a wild beast alongside its deep penetrating growls. Who? Yi Qing quickly spun around as cold sweat drenched his back. Under the bright sunlight, a lump of white smoke suddenly appeared in the office out of nowhere. Then a pair of dragon-like, exploding with muzzles, furry hands were seen pushing out of the smoke. Two green-skinned, stronger than bears, more muscles than Arnold, monsters appeared in front of Yi Qing just like that. They appeared to be like humans, but their arms are super thick. They also have 2 giant tusks jutting out of their mouths, a chest full of thick hair and no hair whatsoever. WTF. Yi Qing is scared shitless as he immediately ran for his life. Having burst all the way into the manufacturing workshop, Yi Qing found a crowbar and tightly clenched it in his hands. Just as he was contemplating whether or not to call 110, Chinese 911, he suddenly remembered that the 2 monsters in the office were really similar to the portrait from the 2 cards. Are they really? As Yi Qing's heart is racing, he finally gathered up the courage to go up the stairs again. When he arrived on the 2nd floor, he took a quick peek at the hallway. No monsters. Again slowly approaching his office, Yi Qing is already able to hear the heavy breathing coming out of his office. Quickly opening the app, he opened the 2 photos. When the display showed them entering, resting, phase, Yi Qing had a quick peek into his office. The 2 monsters disappeared. So it's like this. Yi Qing sprinted into the manufacturing workshop, holding on to that crowbar. He summoned the 2 monsters again. The smoke appeared again. 2 transformer-like monsters stood in front of Yi Qing motionless. It's as if they are waiting for Yi Qing to give out orders. Finally examining the beasts, the 2's tall and sturdy builds, gave Yi Qing too much of a feeling of inferiority. They are over 195 centimeters tall and they possess arms that are as thicker than Yi Qing's waist. Yi Qing is really suspecting that a punch from them will knock the living daylights out of any world-class boxers. Squat. Yi Qing commanded exceedingly. Without any addition nonsense, the 2 monsters, with excellent discipline, squatted on the ground, hit each other. Dong dong, 2 cannon-like sounds exploded as the workers doubtingly looked at each other, as they each ate a punch. After a chain of hits, Yi Qing's colder-than-liquid nitrogen heart instantly felt hotter than lava. I can control these 2. But what to do with them? The introduction said, these 2 can precisely use all kinds of machines. They also gave an increase of 5% to precision and speed. There wasn't much he could use in the workshop right now. Just a bunch of machine beds and processing tools. You 2, lift up that bed on top of the mill for me, will ya? Having skimmed the 2's introductions again, Yi Qing gave the 2 a test. The 2 monsters suddenly relied with some very poor Mandarin using their low and thick voice. This had Yi Qing completely stunned for a whole entire day. These 2 can speak. Not giving Yi Qing any time for questions, the 2 workers, while stretching, walked towards the broken CNC mill. Seeing the fallen machine bed on the workbench, the 2 workers, one at each end, flexed their thicker than Yi Qing's waist arms and easily lifted up that over 500 pounds machine bed. Just like that. Yi Qing is flabbergasted. Something over 500 pounds is this easy to lift. This power, it would be too unfortunate if not used for smashing. 1. Move it over there. The two workers obediently followed his orders. This kind of no-complaint work attitude nearly made Yi Qing burst into tears. Who knew how the previous workers were hired? Complaints while working. Complaints about food quality. Complaints while sleeping. Complaints everywhere. Towards this, Yi Qing and Yi Jiangming can't even say anything. If they reply then they'll just quit, saying stuff like I don't feel like working today and stuff. Seriously annoying. Now, with these two super strong, and have self-buffed processing precision and speed plus 5%, Hulk workers. Working them is just a bliss. He could have been able to create anything he wants, but due to the broken CNC mill, only small-scale parts can be made. The machine bed has a bunch of small parts that require the use of the multi-dot function machines. Yi Qing brought out these parts' blueprint from his office, and handed them over to Hulk 1 and Hulk 2. There is only 2 multi-dot function machines in the workshop. Hulk 1 and Hulk 2 operated one each. They really are amazingly precise with any machine. Having gotten their hands on the blueprints, they work just like a clock. Directly picking up the flame cutters to cut out the parts needed and securing them onto the machine bed. Ka-cha, normal workers need to recalibrate the parts non-stop with dials, but the two never measure a second time. He doesn't know if it's an illusion, but Yi Qing felt the normally slow as all heck cutting and assembling speed of the machine bed, suddenly sped up a whole lot. It probably isn't an illusion. Because the factory comes with an amazing buff. Plus 1% manufacturing speed. Hulk 1 and Hulk 2 also have their own plus 5% processing speed. Time means efficiency. Increased efficiency means a savings in power costs and time. This is a really effective competitive strength. The future is bright. To prevent others from entering, Yi Qing went and locked the outside gates. Then he went back to his office and opened the CNC mill for sale post. Yi Qing, who is in dire needs of the money, refreshed it non-stop to see if there is anyone interested. Having waited a couple of minutes with no reply, Yi Qing turned his attention to figuring out everything about the app. The app has a mini factory. Under careful inspection, he found similarities with Clear Sky Mechanical Saw Factory. Towards this, Yi Qing is calm and like water. The settings for the app are also pretty interesting. Recruiting monsters or buying tools require gold. Yet gold can only be earned by the monsters. For example, if Hulk 1 and Hulk 2 built a machine in the workshop, Yi Qing can sell the created tool for 10,000 yuan. Yi Qing can then either decide to pocket that 10,000 yuan or exchange it for gold. 100 yuan equals 1 gold. And a Hulk worker costs 100 gold to hire. Currently the factory is level 1, so it can only hire Hulk workers. However, when it levels up, then there will be more kinds of monsters up for hire. The system gifted 200 gold. Yi Qing currently doesn't plan to spend it all on 2 more workers. Oh right, Yi Qing remembered that apart from the 2 gifted workers, he was also gifted a tool lottery draw chance. Opening up the tool shopping center column without any delay, a roulette popped up. The roulette is separated into 56 different items. The majority of them are small stuff like pincers, wrenches, hand drills, hammer drills, and cutting tools. Stuff like laser cutting machine, automatic welding machine, rocker drilling rig and other large-scale processing tools only took up 10 spots on the roulette. Notes. 1. Okay, I seriously can't stop myself from doing this, but Hulk Smash. TL, officially they are named Ox hashtag, but Hulk hashtag just sounds cooler Kai. He made them hit each other. Chapter 6. The rest of the order you are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Kai. Yi Qing pressed the lottery button and the roulette started to spin. "Come on!" Yi Qing yelled. "Why?" "Because the smaller the area, the more it's worth." Hence when the pointer stopped on slot with Rapid Metal Engraving Machine, Yi Qing is extremely happy. Congratulations, a fast metal engraving machine, quality uncommon, has been added to your inventory. You have been gifted a free tools upgrade, would you like to use it? Yi Qing pressed yes. Rapid Metal Engraving Machine, quality rare, properties. Engraving speed plus 100% engraving precision plus 50%. Warning. Tools purchased from the shop cannot be resold. As soon as it is put up for sale, it will become a normal tool with no properties. Metal engraving machines, from his understanding, is similar to CNC mills, but there is a huge gap in the precision. Furthermore, it can only engrave on soft metals such as copper, aluminum, lead, acrylic boards, and stone. Due to the power needed to process metal alloys, there is no way to engrave them. He doesn't know if this rapid metal engraving machine from the lottery is able to engrave steel. Yi Qing has never seen any tool that has its own properties. He ran into the workshop without delay and summoned the machine. For his first try, to prevent hurting the machine, Yi Qing brought a piece of soft stone slab from the yard as a guinea pig. This rapid metal engraving machine has an overall white body. Its neat and tidy body looks like it came from the future. Its workbench is 1 meter long by 1 meter wide, with the left and right operating arms above. Having placed down the stone slab, Yi Qing just couldn't find the start button anywhere. Having called over Hulk 2, this guy chuckled as he handed over a small board from the top of the machine. As soon Yi Qing saw it, he immediately delighted. Surprisingly, it's actually a tablet with a USB connector. Completely computer controlled. Really high tech. Having opened the system, all the controls are there, but it's just missing the processing designs. There is no way for Yi Qing to be lacking these. There are tons of these in the USB he carries around. Although these are all CAD component designs, the system actually supports it. Picking a gear design, Yi Qing uploaded it and pressed start. Just as Yi Qing pressed start, the metal engraver on the machine powered up at terrifying speeds. Yi Qing can't even tell when the engraver made contact with the stone. All he knows is the sandstorm on the workbench, the flying rocks, and the loud noise from the engraving. 30 seconds later, the sandstorm subsided. The engraver also returned back to its original position. On the stone slab is a gear component that is exactly the same as the one in the drawing. Perfect, definitely perfect. When changing to metal materials, the machine can directly engrave out all kinds of parts. Yi Qing is simply on cloud 9, as rubbed his eyes multiple times to confirm what he just saw. Fast. Rapid metal engraving machine, the key word here lies with rapid. This can't even be compared to the slow-ass metal engraving machines that Yi Qing used to know. This is truly a monster. Although stone isn't like copper or aluminum, but which normal engraving machines isn't calm, composed and slow like a turtle while engraving and carving on metal. With the design before, normal engraving machines need at least 20 minutes to finish. And the precision of the finished product isn't even in the same playing field as this new machine. The result of normal engravers are all rough and unrefined. This is caused by precision errors with the engraving tools. There is a need for the by-dot product to be polished and smooth before they can exit the factory. As such, these parts can only be used in those tools with no need for high levels of precision. This engraver with properties, not only do its blades spin at terrifying speeds, but from this test alone, engraving steel is no problem at all. Where is the need to manufacture cutting machines now? Might as well as open a new factory to make these metal engravers and earn a tidy profit. Thinking up to here, Yi Qing quickly ran up the stairs, preparing to make a post of taking metal engraving tasks. Just before posting, Yi Qing first took a look at his second-hand CNC mill sales post. There are a few replies on the post, but they all ask how come we can't reach you. Can't reach me. Yi Qing just remembered that his SIM card was eaten by the phone when it was upgrading. No wonder no one is calling right now. Yi Qing hurriedly pulled out an Apple iPhone 4 with a cracked screen and ran out the door. Having set Hulk 1 and Hulk 2 into their resting phase, Yi Qing opened the door, got into the van and drove as fast as possible to the nearest telemarketer. Once there, Yi Qing went to get a replacement SIM card. Using his ID to get through the paperwork, Yi Qing quickly got his hands on a new card. When Yi Qing inserted the SIM card into the old iPhone 4, dee-dee sounds continued a few times before it displayed 6 unanswered calls. Using the telemarketer's Wi-Fi, Yi Qing first got his contacts restored, then went to check out these messages. 3 of the messages are from the boss of Jiangshan Masonry. Jiangshan Masonry is currently his one and only customer. So with no need to upset them, Yi Qing immediately called them back. Come here immediately, the water pump for the cutting machines broke. Sang Qing, the boss of Jiangshan Masonry, stated with an icy cold voice. Water pump. Yi Qing is lost because the cutting machines he gave him didn't even have water pumps installed. Stone cutting tools require water injection when it's working to lower the temperature, but the masonry installed the water pump themselves. Most masonries like to save on water costs, so they reuse the wastewater which contains stone powder. This causes the water pump to be worn out extremely quick. Installing water pumps mean giving a warranty on the pump. Which factory would do this kind of asking for trouble work? Yi Qing explained that the water pump isn't covered by warranty. Sang Qing's reply is actually very simple. Come fix it if you want the rest of the payment. Yi Qing tried to the best of his abilities to hold back his urge of smashing the phone. In order to finish the rest of the machines, Yi Qing screamed no inside, but still made the trip unwillingly. The rest of the calls are all from strangers, but Yi Qing called them back one by one. 2 of them are probably from bosses of processing plants. Since they asked a bunch of technical questions about the CNC mill. Yi Qing honestly reported the situation with the broken CNC mill. One of them straight up wanted a 20,000 discount, while the other one is willing to pay another 30,000 to have Yi Qing fix it. The CNC mill requires their manufacturer to come fix it. That would at least take a few days, and since when does Yi Qing have that much time? As such, he can only agree to the first one with the 20,000 discount, and booked an appointment for him to come take a look at the machine later tonight. Then with a quick turn, Yi Qing drove off towards Jiangshan Masonry. The accident on State Road 104 has already been cleared away, so it was unclogged in both directions. Under these conditions, it took Yi Qing 40 minutes to arrive. Jiangshan Masonry is situated right below Mount Meihua, occupying a large area in the surroundings. They not only process all kinds of rocks, but they also do stone landscaping business. A lot of the landscaping stones in nearby communities are from here. This kind of business, if it weren't for Director Zhang from City Construction Planning Department, the boss Sang Qing will not in 100 years order cutting tools from clear sky. Hence, as soon as he met with Yi Qing, he refused to pay him any more attention and had someone that was just carving out stones deal with him. This worker clearly is dressed to impress. With a cig in his mouth, he swaggered over. As he got near, Yi Qing had the feeling, why does this guy look so familiar? FK, it's you. You. As soon as the two met, there were sparks of anger everywhere. The person Sang Qing sent is none other than the one who took a beating from Yi Qing this morning at the hospital. He seems to be Qian Dongdong's sister's son. At the time he had spoken some truly outrageous comments. Very good. The police was there in morning so I couldn't do anything. But now you've come running to my territory. Qian Xiaoming chuckled as he waved for a couple of his friends. These two clearly aren't strangers. They were precisely the two who showed up in the hospital with Qian Xiaoming. No wonder that stone cutter kept having problems. So you're the one made it. What kind garbage are you making? With people backing him, the skinny and thin Qian Xiaoming, just like his name, furiously gave Yi Qing a shove. Heard the factory my uncle is working at is on the verge of bankruptcy, they can't even pay their workers' wages. I see that van over there is pretty good, why don't you leave it here to support my uncle's medical expenses? Yi Qing raised his leg, and kicked Qian Xiaoming onto the ground. What business is there for Yi Qing to care about now? All he wants to do is beat the living daylights out of him. With the fall of Qian Xiaoming, the other two also joined in. These two clearly look strong, it's probably because they are usually lifting and shifting stones all day long at the masonry. So it's no surprise they have strength. Yi Qing also isn't weak. You throw me a punch, if I can't dodge I'll just kick Qian Xiaoming harder, it's not like I'm the one suffering here. All of you stop. What are you guys doing? Sang Qin, who was talking business with someone far away, saw the fighting here, and exploded like a pissed lion. Boss, he already gave me a beating today. Look my teeth. Seeing his boss approaching, Qian Xiaoming is exhilarated. I asked Sanar for a leave this morning to see my uncle at the hospital. Who would have thought that my uncle got hurt in his factory? Boss, you have to help me get answers. This morning at the hospital, I saw that my uncle's medical fees are still missing, so I said a couple lines, but I didn't expect him to just come up and beat me. Now he comes to the yard to fix the machines, but he again attacked me without any reasoning. His two buddies also come along to put in their piece, making the whole story seem as if it's all black and white. Saying how Yi Qing's factory is on the verge of bankruptcy, but now with the order from our factory for cutting tools, he is like the king of the world. Even attacking the victims' families. Sang Qin nodded, saying I got it. Sang Qin clearly know what Qian Xiaoming and his cronies are doing. He also know how hooligan-like their group is. But that doesn't hinder Sang Qin from helping them out, because they are all Sang Qin's subordinates. What they do is three-dimensional hand carving. This job is dependent on the worker's experience. The longer it takes to carve the carving, the higher its price when sold, and the less profit margin for the company. Gaining people's favor, Sang Qin, who has a big business behind him, clearly understands. Beat it. The pump doesn't need you to fix. Sang Qin shook his head as he continued to deliver devastating blows. The rest of the 6 cutters are, as of this moment, cancelled. You can also forget about the remaining dues from the one you've already delivered, thinking of it as compensation for Qian Xiaoming and his buddy's medical fees. Chapter 7. The scenery on Sai Bridge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Kai. 7 industrial stone cutters, 35,000 yuan each. Still missing the remaining 25,000 yuan for the first cutter. Before everything that happened, this order was the lifeline of the factory. 8 workers, 3 months of wages. One sentence from Sang Qin and it's gone. The factory tried everything, just for this single order. Now what happens to the rest of the steel and spare components they ordered? Yes, Yi Qing family's factory only makes average machines. However, Yi Qing can guarantee that no one within the surrounding cities will offer a better deal than 35,000 yuan per machine. If someone actually offers a better price, then Yi Qing might as well gift these 7 machines for free. If a problem occurs, Yi Qing will be there as fast as possible. He'll even pull an all-nighter just to get the machine up and running. Now, the materials for the other 6 were all there, just waiting to be assembled. And they cancelled everything just like that. They didn't even pay the remaining fees for the first one. Qian Xiaoming and his buddies laughed and stared from the side. The whole order's gone, it's just simply amazing. Their factory can't even pay the medical fees to begin with. Now, without the order, how will they pass this crisis? As for his uncle's medical fees, they could care less. When the factory files for bankruptcy, they will first sell off the machines to pay off the debt. They might even have to sell the van. Yi Qing closed his eyes and calmed himself. After a long pause, he tried his hardest to remain calm. Mr. Sang, although we did sign a formal contract, but business is all about trust. Are you sure you want to do this? Sang Qing looked at him full of distaste and heartlessness. If you don't like it, sue me. Yi Qing, who looked full of heaviness, turned around without replying and left. While having no backing, any threats or intimidations will only make the matter worse. Yi Qing understood and accepted this. He started the car to leave. But just when he was about to start moving, Yi Qing's van is blocked by someone. Yi Qing mentally prepared himself, ready for another brawl, but the person appearing like a white-collar worker possessed a red badge on his chest. This is the badge for all Zhongyun city workers. It has name, positions, and phone number. These kinds of people definitely isn't in cohort with Sang Qing. So, Yi Qing stopped the car and asked what's up. You heading to Zhongyun? The young-looking Han Yuping handed over a cigarette. Mind giving me a ride? It's just too hard to find an uncrowded bus at this time. When Sang Qing was chatting with him, they were quite far from Yi Qing, but still close enough to see the whole fight. However, he definitely didn't hear of the argument between Yi Qing and Sang Qing, otherwise there is no way that he would ask for a ride from Yi Qing. The position on Han Yopeng's official badge states City Construction Department branch. Yi Qing, instead of rejecting, frankly opened up the door to the front passenger seat and welcomed him aboard. Han Yupeng thanked while getting seated. When Yi Qing drove on to the town's main road, Han Yupeng asked Yi Qing why he was fighting with the workers back there. Yi Qing waved his hand and said it's only minor stuff. Just some minor scuffles with a few of the workers. That boss is seriously a douchebag. He's freaking obsessed with his profits. Han Yupeng probably got the cold shoulder back there and is letting it all out now. FK, I sat in a fully packed bus for more than an hour just to talk business with him. When it's all over he doesn't even have the courtesy to have someone give me a ride back. I freaking saw a bunch of cars in their parking lot. What business were you guys talking about? Yi Qing asked nonchalantly, just to get a conversation going. Curb stones. You know, stones that mark the border between roads and footpaths. In 3 months, the inspection team will be here to rate all of the country's cities on their culture and sanitation. Han Yupeng put down a pile of documents on the dashboard and stretched. Every city's rating 3-year inspection. Last time, there were only 30 or so cities throughout the whole country that passed. Our Zhongyun missed out multiple times in a row. Now the city leaders finally made up their mind and are wanting to completely change the face of the city. The few main roads all use concrete curbs, which have a weathered away. Right now it's more ugly than if it were bitten everywhere by dogs. The city construction department have decided to change all of it into granite. The nearest granite source for Zhongyun is near Mt. Meihua, but the only place that can produce large quantities of granite is Jiangshan Masonry. I was sent there just to get the contract signed, but in the end he didn't sign it because he didn't like the price on the deal. And just because of this, he goes as far as not even offering me a ride back. Yi Qing offered some comforting words, and commented that Sang Qing definitely has some connections. Otherwise, there is no way he is allowed to get this deal as a whole. Zhongyun has a lot of landscaping stones that are made by his company. He is definitely familiar with a couple of the directors, so of course they'll put in a word for him. Han Yupeng wagged his mouth and looked as if he had been wronged. I'm also being extorted. The directors freaking use me as a messenger all the time. When a contract is signed, I get nothing and the credit all goes to them. When it fails, it's always my fault. The two are similar in age, so of course they have a lot to talk about. When the van entered Zhongyun, Yi Qing has already gotten enough information out of him about Sang Qing. Right now it is rush hour, so traffic jams everywhere. Han Yupeng says he's in a rush for a date, so without getting to the destination, he is already off and running. When he got on Sai Bridge, the intersection there is completely stuck for over couple hundred meters. Sci-fi Bridge can be considered one of Zhongnan's famous landmarks. The small but old beautiful buildings underneath, with the 12 dancing court lady statues above, it is a major tourist attraction for the city. Assessing the road condition ahead, Yi Qing predicted that he'll have to wait for at least another 3 lights. While being bored on the bridge, Yi Qing listened to Su Ningong's songs. While listening to the music, Yi Qing noticed the documents left on the front passenger seat dashboard. God damn it, isn't this what Han Yuping put down when he got on? Yi Qing didn't record the number on his badge, so he has to make a trip to the city construction department later to return them. Being bored, Yi Qing flipped through the whole document page by page. The document is actually very simple, it's all about the purchasing of curb stones. Such as the material for the stone, dimensions, and deadlines. In total there will be a purchase of 250,000 curb stones. These documents are just the initial draft contract, without signature from either sides. From what Han Yuping said while on road, the government wants to purchase each curb stone at 40 yuan apiece. Sang Qing on the other hand think this is too little and he can't make a profit, and insisted on 42 yuan apiece. This price isn't really that expensive, and there is only Jiangshan Masonry near Zhongyan that has the ability to supply granite curb stone. Sang Qing naturally is looking to raise the price a little. The expensive part of masonry business is the manpower and physical resources. Not the rocks, since that is freely available. A piece of granite curb stone weighs nearly 50 kilograms. From digging it out of the mountain, to cutting it into size and polishing it, all require large amounts of human labor. A piece of stone weighing dozens of kilograms is more than enough to leave a normal person breathless after a couple of steps. Let alone 250,000 pieces of the same rock. This is also where Sang Qing has the winning hand. In all of Zhongyan's masonry, who possess industrial-scale diggers and is able to extract granite. Outsourcing. Him offering 42 yuan a piece is already a deal. If they import from other parts of the country, then they need to think about the shipping and handling of thousands of tons of materials. Without 45 yuan a piece, don't even think about it. Business nowadays is seriously all about the prices. Having weaved through the whole document, Yi Qing sighed regretfully. Even with knowing these details, what is there to do with them? Is it possible to send Hulk 1 and Hulk 2 to his yard and act out the fights in the 300? Looking over Sci-fi Bridge, the rows upon rows of dancing court lady statues, Yi Qing helplessly extinguished that idea. Wait, hold on a second there, Yi Qing had a sudden flash of enlightenment as he jolted from his seat. Statues of dancing court ladies. Pictures of dancing court ladies. Chapter 8. Going Broke. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Kai. The pictures of the court girls on the bridge were simply flawless. From the flow of their moves to their gentle curves, they are all flawless. But these flawlessness opened a window of opportunity for Yi Qing. The statues on Sci-fi Bridge originated from the drawings of a great artist during the Ming Dynasty. This person is called Qiu Ying, a complete art fanatic, whose expertise is in drawing all kinds of women. The old-style buildings underneath the bridge were the infamous Red Dot Light District from the olden days. The Red Dot Light District naturally needed attractions, so Qiu Ying, being an expert in this field, drew a piece that subconsciously drew in the higher-ups of the district. In 07, Sci-fi Bridge was classified as a provincial cultural heritage site. Hence, when Zhongyan invested large amounts into its restoration, someone anonymously contributed several Qiu Ying's pieces into the restoration. This matter caused quite a stir at the time. Under the ecstasy of Zhongyan's officials, they picked out several clothed pictures and asked for replicas of them. Later, they were placed on the bridge for all to see. Now the bridge has a total of 24 of these pictures. The city of Zhongyan only created 4 of them, while the rest were all part of the publicly available pictures by Qiu Ying. Sci-fi Bridge is one of Zhongyan's cultural jewels. It also has a high of reputation around the country. So of course the inspection team will need to make an inspection around here. What if? What if the whole road's curbs, were all replaced by carvings of beautiful court girls, or similar pictures? This idea would get rejected by just about everyone. These stone sculptures naturally need to come from sculpting machines. For complex work like the carvings of the court girls, they must require the use of small carving blades, and it also needed at least an hour to finish. Just carving words on a stone tablet would cost several hundred, but now you say you want a carving of a complex picture of court girls on a piece of marble. How much do you think it would cost? 30 minutes later, Yi Qing finally arrived in the industrial park. The park is extremely large, one of China's top 500 corporation sites. At the same time it is also home to Zhongyin's leading manufacturing company, Huaxing Heavy Works. Yi Qing clearly remembered that Huaxing Heavy Works is located at the third stage of the park. There are definitely piles of marble there. The third stage construction of the park is already underway. As far as the eye can see, there are numerous heavy cranes around. Yi Qing parked the van in front of a building that is currently under renovation. After finding who looked like the foreman of the site, he offered a cigarette and asked if there are any leftover marbles lying around. The foreman lit the cig, took a deep breath and straightforwardly pointed at a nearby pile of marble, telling Yi Qing that he can take as much as he wanted. Yi Qing picked out 7 scrap pieces that are roughly the same size as curb stones. Having returned to his factory, he closed the door and summoned out Hulk 1, Hulk 2, and that rare rapid metal engraving machine. There are a bunch of human picture CAD designs online, but it is rare to find one meeting Yi Qing's requirements. The curb stone will be rectangular after being installed horizontally into the ground, but all the pictures of the court ladies were vertical. Due to wrong proportions of the character, the resulting carving will definitely be lacking in beauty. Luckily our country is short on everything, but people and history. There are many classical scroll drawings that survived the testament of time. And many of them were drawn horizontally. A horizontal drawing of a bewitching dancing court girl was found by Yi Qing through the magical use of the internet. This CAD drawing possesses outstanding detail and large dimensions. Wanting to carve this one onto stone naturally required some minor adjustments, but this is just some trivial work for Yi Qing. In under half an hour, a 25-kilo piece of marble was carried by Hulk 1, like grabbing a chicken by the neck, onto the workbench of the metal engraver. Having secured the marble, the engraving blades started to carve out the drawing with unimaginable speeds. After the chaotic debris calmed, there appeared a breathtaking ancient beauty. Perfection. Yi Qing excitedly slapped both of his cheeks. Total automation. This speed. These cuts. They are impossible for regular metal engravers. While carving stone for long periods of time, there is the need for a water jet to cool down the working blades. Yi Qing connected a hose to the jet and pulled out his cell phone for the stopwatch app to check out the working speed of the machine. Having ordered Hulk 2 to process the rest of the marble, Yi Qing found that with Hulk 1 and Hulk 2's abilities, it only took a little over 2 minutes to carve out a piece. Yi Qing pulled out a calculator and did some simple math. If they work 24 hours non-stop, then they can process more than 120,000 pieces of granite. The next day, Yi Qing brought some steamed buns and congee to the hospital. Yi Jiangning is lying on bed with oxygen support, whereas Su Lan was sitting in nursing chair yawning non-stop. Yi Qing placed the breakfast, and pulled out 12 already prepared stack of bills. The CNC mill sold at 180,000. I left 60,000 in factory as liquid assets. Yi Qing opened the containers, and handed it over to his mom after cooling it off for a bit. 120,000 is probably enough for Lu Xiaozhen and Qian Dongdong's medical fees. During this period I'll try to find ways to get more orders. Didn't the rest of the workers resign? Su Lan asked with heavy eyes. If it's not possible, go ahead and outsource the rest of the order. It's not necessary to earn anything, it's fine as long as we don't lose too much. The order has been cancelled. Jiangshan Masonry's boss, after finding out about the worker accident and the others resigning, cancelled the whole order. Then, go ahead and sell the rest of the machines and materials. Yi Jiangning replied lightly. Even though he tried not moving, but there is still major pain coming from his wounds. Lu Xiaozhen and Qian Dongdong are both heavily injured. When they leave the hospital, under no circumstances, can we cut on their compensations. We can do this slowly. The more anxious we are, the lower the price tag for everything. The park has many factories, I'll try to find a job there for the time being. Having spent some time conversing with them, Yi Qing asked what they wanted for lunch. Go buy some ribs from the market. Don't try getting takeouts, it's much healthier with home cooking. Su Lan stated. Yi Qing nodded and replied he'll try looking for some outsourcing jobs from nearby mechanical factories. If he actually finds one, then he'll work there for the time being. Having left the hospital, Yi Qing went to the nearby fruit store. He bought 2 fruit baskets and had them sent to Lu Xiaozhen and Qian Dongdong's rooms. Lu Xiaozhen is staying in the regular ward and is already awake. Having met Yi Qing, he told him that he had no resentment. After all, the cause of the incident is somebody else. There is no need to push all the blame onto him. Lu Xiaozhen's wife gave Yi Qing the cold shoulder the whole time. Her husband had suffered injuries on the job, which was of course the boss's fault. Take a good rest. Although the factory has no money, it still has a pile of machinery. There is no need for you to save me money, use what's got to be used, no questions asked. Lu Xiaozhen was about to reject the compensation offer, but took it due to his wife's knife-like stares. Qian Dongdong is still in ICU, so Yi Qing couldn't enter. Hence he just handed the fruits and money to his family members. Now he only has 50,000 yuan left. This money can't be used just yet, as Yi Qing still needed to sort out one other matter. 9 a.m. Yi Qing parked the van in front of Zhongyun City Construction Department. Bringing Han Yopeng's documents with him, Yi Qing entered this grand and spacious building. Having found someone who might be the receptionist inside, he asked where Han Yopeng works. 3rd floor, Municipal Engineering Office. Having thanked them, Yi Qing quickly went up the stairs. The Municipal Engineering Office had its doors wide open. At the moment, an old-looking middle-aged man wearing glasses is letting out his frustrations at a young man in front of him. The young man is of course Han Yopeng. His dad's friend also works here, and is a director, but Yi Qing isn't here to see him. Xiao Han, I'm really considering your future here. If you can get the deal signed off, then the chief will naturally look after you. Go and make another run to Jiangshan Masonry, and give Sang Qing a heads up. Tell him that the city construction office hasn't made its mind yet. It's also currently discussing details of potentially of working with other masonries. Make him as nervous as possible. Han Yopeng, being more obedient than anyone else, nodded his way through the whole thing. Yi Qing is barely managed to contain his laughter. This guy seriously put some effort into his acting skills. The attitude he had when he was complaining in the van is completely gone. After waiting for about a cup of tea's time, Han Yopeng came out complaining and cursing. Seeing the standing Yi Qing in the hall, he was stunned. Damn, you aren't here to deliver the documents rights. There is some other stuff. Yi Qing handed over his forgotten documents, then pulled out a couple of just printed colored pictures. Take a look at this. Han Yopeng received the pictures with doubts, then let out a scream of shock. 5 pictures, 5 unique marble slabs. These last few days he had searched for good deals from various masonries. How can he not figure out the stone materials in these colorful pictures? It's just. On these 5 differently shaped marble pieces, there were carvings of the same picture. Han Yopeng widened his eyes, the beauty and the carvings were simply exceptional. A flowing dress, a dance that is unforgettable, a court lady who transcends time. Yet this work of art gave Han Yuping a feel that, the court lady is actually real and dancing right in front of him. Beautiful, simply beautiful. Han Yuping excitingly yelled. This is simply a workaround of art. I feel like this is even more beautiful than the statues on Sai Bridge. Look, look, the looks this girl is giving, the way she stares at me, it's almost like she wants me. Han Yuping stared at the magical pictures in his hands, while wishing for a magnifying glass to take a closer look. Having gotten past the shock, Han Yuping remembered why he is looking at these pictures. Wait, that's not right, why are you making me look at these pictures? Han Yuping is lost like being stuck in a complex maze. Although I would love to possess these magnificent works of art, but clearly that's not right. I don't even have enough to afford them. Yi Qin took back the pictures and pointed to the shape of the marble. Take a closer look, what shape are these marble blocks? Looks like. Just now did Han Yuping pay any attention to the marble, but taking another long look, he finally managed to understand the hint. These rocks look almost like curbstones. Curbstones. Yes. Yi Qin conspiratorially stated. What would you say if the city's main streets were changed to these curbstones? What do you think the effects would be? It will. It will. Han Yuping's mouth appeared to have been stuffed with a printing press. After stuttering for ages, he finally let out a complete sentence. I know. Zhongyin's municipal government would definitely go broke. Chapter 9. They are actually curbstones. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Kai. Municipal Administrative Engineering Official Director Lu Fongjin, who was the one that just gave Han Yuping a scolding, received a call from him saying that he has major news to report. At the moment Director Lu in a meeting on the top floor with several of the city's directors and bureau chiefs. They were there to discuss the inspection in 3 months' time and how they could change the face of the city by then. If it's just cleaning up the city, then that is a major no-no and a dumb idea. There are more than 700 cities and over 1,600 counties in the country. So how come there were only 31 cities who were rewarded with the title of the most cultural city in the country? Sanitation practices, even kindergarten kids can do it. On a side note, they do it very well, they can clean up their schoolyard to be both tidy and clean. Hence, if the title for the city can be awarded with sanitation practices only, then that is the highest and the hardest honor to achieve. It is also nonsense, because it's practically impossible. The 3-year inspection is a comprehensive targeted inspection. Areas such as public safety, crime case cracking rate, employment rate, air quality, and such are all targets of this inspection. These areas have generally been reviewed in the first 2 years before the on-site inspection. On the 3rd year there is a comprehensive evaluation where an inspection team will be on site to conduct the evaluation. Having failed n times on the on-site inspection step, Zhongyin's municipal government, using tons of experience, feedback from their earlier failures, and long-term research of honorable cities, have finally produced a list of criteria. There are 3 major areas to consider. Science and technology of the city. Cultural aspects of the city. Specialties of the city. As for the cleanliness of the city, it's pretty much a must-have requirement. It's just like not all women can be Miss World. If you have a city that is either full of cracks or trash, then you simply wouldn't even make it past the qualifiers. City Construction Office governs all of Zhongyin City's infrastructure and road construction plans. Hence the pressure of this huge ordeal mainly rests upon the shoulders of the City Construction Office. Under the influence of this pressure, all department heads, bureau chiefs, and vice chiefs are all united and working to their utmost abilities to come up with ideas to make the city prettier. The discussion in the meeting room led to lots of intense bickering. Some believe that Zhongyin should play out its culture card as its specialization. The city needed to heavily promote and display its rich history to the public. Others believe that relying on just culture is not enough. Even ancient cities with thousands of years of history were crossed out from the list, so clearly the culture card can't be the main focus. Since the culture card can't be the main focus, then that only leaves the tech card. Presently, science and technology sees new development every day. If there is a possibility to introduce several highly technical parts into the city facilities, then there might actually be a possibility of getting on the good side of the inspection team. Raising this issue is one of the department heads who previously has visited many foreign cities where the main focus is high-tech facilities. We need both tech and culture. The chief of the city construction office, Lu Jingdong, stated. Yesterday, during the city leader meeting, we have all come to an agreement. We not only need to keep the cultural heritage of our city, but also need to include projects where science and technology contribute to better living standards for the public. The task assigned to use from the city leaders is very clear. We need to concentrate on both the cultural and technical aspects of the city. For the next 3 months, all of our work need to be focused around these 2 points. A cell phone ringing noise interrupted the chief's speech. Although the ring tone wasn't ear-piercing, but there are only directors and bureau chiefs at this small meeting. Hence nobody turned off their cell phones. The chief stopped speaking and gave Municipal Administrative Engineering Official Director Lu Fongjin a look, as if telling him to quickly answer the call. The meeting room remained quiet as Lu Fongjin looked at the number, and angrily asked in a low voice. "Didn't I tell you I'm in a meeting, now speak quickly." "Director Lu, this is an enormous matter, enormous." Han Yuping yelled. In the quiet meeting room, even Chief, Lu Jingdong, who is sitting at the head of the table, heard it crystal clear. "Wait for me after the meeting." Lu Fongjin slammed shut the phone. "It might be some urgent matter for you." Chief Lu Jingdong took a look at the time. "Alright, our meeting today ends here. Everybody go back and come up with new plans to share tomorrow." Just as the meeting adjourned, one of the directors who was sitting closest to the door opened it. However, Han Yuping, who was urgently waiting outside, dashed in right away. Han Yuping, one hand holding onto a cell phone, one hand holding a couple of pictures, with flush red complexion, just like broiled shrimp. Only 60 director. Lu Fongjin is angry to the point of being flushed red. Han Yuping is a part of his department. Now with all the city construction office's leaders here, isn't this just giving him a blunder to clean up? Lu Fongjin already decided, when they get back, he is definitely going to receive a special lesson. City Construction Chief Lu Jingdong is already standing and somewhat unhappy. "Xiao Han, what matter made you this anxious? There is not one bit of sophistication left." "Ah, Chief, let me explain." Han Yuping suddenly turned from red to white. Finally aware that he's in trouble. In the end, he is a youngster and can't grasp the act of acting sophisticated. When running into exciting matters, everything else is thrown into the back of the mind. Those who are able to become civil servants aren't lunatics. The chief and directors all understand, Han Yuping clearly met some disturbing matter of major concern. Otherwise, he wouldn't make this type of elementary mistake. Angry for such, but the chief still gave Han Yuping a bit of time to explain himself. Having been scared out of his ecstasy, Han Yuping understood that if he doesn't clearly explain himself, then he'll be benched for the rest of his life. Hence, he needs to bring out 200% effort to explain himself. This picture. Chief, go ahead and take a look. Han Yuping, while trembling, handed over the pictures in his hands to the chief and directors in the room. In the picture is a piece of marble. On the marble is a carving. Just as Chief Lu Jingdong wanted to criticize why he would cause this much fuss for a picture, nothing came out of his mouth because he clearly forgot about it. He is completely attracted to the graceful court lady in the picture. Beautiful. This is his first thought. A work of art. This is his second thought. The lady's flowing sleeves and coiled legs, slim and tender angels, were perfectly carved onto the stone slab. It also brought out the stone slab's non-existent artistic value. Those indolent but charming eyes, those traditional hand gestures, it's as if it's alive. Making people can't help but linger, can't help but admire. The other directors all had the same look in their eyes. Some even narrowed their eyes till there is only a narrow slit left. Males towards beautiful things, generally all have the same conduct. Han Yuping laughed. Laughed because he is now certain. They all had their souls charmed by the court lady on the stone slab. So of course they wouldn't notice that the stone slab is actually the main star here. Hence Han Yuping must remind everyone, the reason why he barged into the meeting. Chief, if these court ladies were carved onto road curbsides and they were to cover several of Zhongyun's main streets, then what would the result? Han Yuping stated, elated. What? Chief Lu Jingdong and several other directors all jolted from their chairs. Chief Lu Jingdong clasped the pictures with his trembling hands. Clearly even more excited when compared to when Han Yuping bursted into the meeting room. He grabbed Han Yuping's shoulders, clearly shaken and somewhat incoherent. What did you just say? This is a road curb. Then, Chief Lu Zhongdong suddenly remembered Han Yuping yelling something 60, 60 as he busted in. Don't tell me that he was talking about the price of this curb stone. Yes. Han Yuping answered as if he was drifting on cloud 9. 60 yuan for a piece of road curb. It just exceeded our original estimate by a bit over 5 million. Then, Zhongyun's several main streets will all have these works of art as curb stones. Chapter 10. This is why it's called high tech. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Kai. The originally dismissed meeting, suddenly became as fierce as people in a farmer's market. They all can't believe that this kind of artistic curbstone only costs 60. All items have their relative price. If the asking price is way below the relative price, then there is only one possibility. The 24 court lady statues on Sci-fi Bridge were all contributed by our department. A stone slate costs merely 20,000 for just the labor, 20,000 people. The statues on Sci-fi Bridge, at the time costed 10,000 yuan for each manual cut made. It was unimaginably expensive. Other vice director uttered. These couple of pictures, just from how detailed and perfect the ladies are, they must have been carved by an engraving machine. 60 yuan a piece is cheap beyond reasoning. However, in this ever-changing day and age, is there a possibility of the existence of some high-tech engraver that we don't know of? Won't we know if we just ask him? Director Lu Fengjin has a good relationship with Sang Qing privately. He hinted to everyone to quiet down and called Sang Qing's cell phone. The call quickly connected and Lu Fengjin pressed the speaker button. Mr. Sang, I have a couple of questions for you. On the other side of the call, Sang Qing's voice sounds even more pandering than a traitor. Director Lu, please, go ahead and ask. Even if you ask for my bank PIN, I'll still tell you with no hesitations. Lu Fengjin immediately got to the question at hand. If court lady carvings, just like those on Sci-fi Bridge, were to be engraved onto curbstones, then what are the manufacturing costs? Director Lu, that's not even possible. Engraving machines can only engrave on large stone slabs. Sang Qing thought that this is something like another deal, so answered enthusiastically. The curbstone is only so big, so it's only possible to carve things like flowers on it. Director Lu, if you need to carve flowers on the curbstone, then I'll just charge you 200 per. However, you can't order too many. I only have 5 engravers in the factory. Even if they were to work non-stop, with enough materials and 2 rotating shifts, then I can at most produce 10,000 pieces in 2 months. Then is there any high-tech engraving machine that can carve court lady pictures? Sang Qing thought about it then slowly replied. There probably are some high-precision carving machines with large-scale advertisement companies. But the resulting price and wasted time is just too excessive. I probably have to charge at least 1,000 apiece. Receiving the information he needs, Lu Fengjin without even saying bye, directly hung up. Then, turned and locked onto Han Yupeng, with looks full of "we're not through with this. Xiao Han, you sure you heard it's 60 and not 600? The expression of Chief Lu Jingdong right now, was like those old lottery players when they've matched all their numbers, but is later told that the numbers were from the previous lottery draw. During the city chief meeting yesterday, the mayor strongly emphasized that they need to tightly grab onto both the city's cultural aspects as well as using new technology to improve living standards. At the beginning, the appearance of perfectly preserved drawings of court ladies on Sai Street by Chiu Yin, is it not Zhongyun's exclusive cultural feature? This was never before seen authentic originals. It caused quite the stir with society and the archaeology world. It even made the city of Zhongyun news headlines for over a week, and increased their popularity on the web. The amount of tourists also suddenly increased by over 10 times on Sai Street. Zhongyun's leading leaders also followed in sampling this new view. Now there are precise carvings, that aren't inferior to the statues on Sai Street, and can also cover Zhongyun's several main streets. Isn't this Zhongyun's new exclusive distinguishing cultural feature? Using large quantity, low-cost artworks that are just that much more expensive than regular curbstones, to fill in multiple streets. Isn't this tech-savvy living? This will become a street scenery only unique to Zhongyun. If this engineering project is finished while he, Lu Jingdong, is in office, then his future. However, now that Zhongyun's largest masonry factory is clearly telling him that it's not possible. This wonderful dream popped like a bubble. How can Chief Lu Jingdong not be angry? The boss who made these carvings are downstairs, do you want me to invite him up? Han Yuping quietly asked. Immediately. At once. Chief Lu Jingdong firmly commanded. When Yi Qing arrived at the meeting room, 30+ minutes had already passed. This is because Yi Qing, after much struggle, carried a piece of marble up from his van. Before Yi Qing can place the marble down, several directors and vice-directors, just like sharks who have smelt blood, swarmed in. Tangible objects forever provide a better shock and awe value than pictures. Seeing the vivid and lifelike carving in front of him, Chief Lu Jingdong even has the impulse, no matter the cost, to fill in all of the city's main streets with them. 60 yuan a piece, Yi Qing repeated the price again, having already lost count how many times he has repeated. This price is cheap to the point of having people wonder if they heard it right. Lu Jingdong is also eager to verify if this beautiful dream can be completed. You own a masonry. Lu Fengjin, who boasts of possessing much knowledge about masonries, first asked. That's not true. Yi Qing patiently explained. I own a mechanical saw manufacturing factory, which specializes in producing all kinds of large-scale cutting machines. Yi Qing also conveniently gave everyone in the room one of his business cards, which has the address of his factory and its products listed. Among them also include several stone cutters. This is also the reason why the directors lessened their doubts against him. But they still can't believe that, for only 60 yuan, they can buy an artistic curbstone. Leaders, see if this works. Yi Qing of course know of their doubts. To be honest, if it wasn't because he is the one who made these things, he also wouldn't believe this kind of cheap work. My factory is in the industrial park. Industry and Commerce Office has our records. Yi Qing tossed out a condition that is very favorable for them. How about this, whenever I deliver a batch of curbstones, you can pay the fees after they have been checked for quality. That's fine. Chief Lu Jingdong still has some uncertainty of this gargantuan convenience the construction office has just received. Xiao Yi comrade, I believe you also understand that we the city construction office plan to switch out many of the city's main streets curbstones, hence the order for carved curbstones. Yi Qing nodded. We don't have much time left, the inspection team will be here in 3 months, so all curbstones must be completed in 2 months' time. I just heard someone from Jiangshan Masonry say, just carving a couple of flowers on the curbstones, 24 hours shifts, they can only produce 10,000 pieces in 2 months. They have 5 CNC engraving mills, how many do you have? Chief, my engraving of these court lady pictures isn't as simple as drawing some flower using lines. Yi Qing smiled confidently. If according to Jianshan Masonry's calculation with those outdated machines, then I probably have around 480 of them. However, Chief, flowers made up of a couple of lines, in front of the comprehensiveness of court lady pictures, there exists an extremely large skill gap. This shortfall isn't something that can be made by just quantity alone. Just don't disappoint us. Chief Lu Jingdong laughed. This comparison Yi Qing made him quite relieved. When the time comes for the inspection team to visit Zhongyan, he can completely point out to rolls upon rolls of refined curbstones and grandly show off their cultural and technical aspects to the team. This is science. This is technology that changes lives, that changes the face of cities.